Hey everybody, this is Dustin Bynum here. This is a Pleasant Hill DIY moment, and let me show you what I got for you today. So I have an old Crosley cathedral style radio. Um, this is a cool piece. It was given to me, so it's free. Can't pass that up. You guys know from some of my other videos that I love taking free junk and turning it into treasures. I really love doing restorations, and that's been just a hobby of mine since I was very young. Anything from cars to bikes to motorcycles to old pieces of equipment like that, or even finding very useful purposes for very otherwise things that have been thrown away. So this thing has been rolling around in a milk crate, God knows for how long. You can see it's pretty beat up. It's got some paint overspray on it. It's just been used and abused. You can see that the cone is just completely gone. There's been some fingers poked through the grill cloth. Originally, with these era radios, what little I do know, and by no means is this a how-to video. This is a let's dive down the rabbit hole video. I've never restored an old radio. For those of you that know me, you know my background is engineering, and so this is more of like a hobby project of what I can do with old electronics. I have very little experience working with old electronics, so I'll probably have to do a lot of digging and research. But this is a plug made out of Bakelite, and it's still got the old cloth wrapped wire on it, and you can see, those wires are just poked through to a couple of screw heads, and this is old. It's certainly not what we would see on any modern equipment. These knobs would have been these knobs actually I threw on here long time ago when I first got it, because it was missing a knob and it had a cracked Bakelite knob. So I finished the destruction of this thing off with pulling off the old Bakelite knob that was here, and I had a couple of old universal fit mother of pearl inlaid. I guess that's not mother of pearl. That's some sort of snail shell, seashell inlaid knobs for a guitar. They just have a little Allen set screw in there, because that's what I had. I'm not, in no stretch of the imagination, am I going to get fully geeked out on this in purist. It was found in a junk pile, and we have to remember that it's a hobby piece. This is not something I want to go bankrupt over, but I would like to do a nice restoration job on it. You can see that originally this probably would have had a very beautifully finished matchbook grain veneer on the front of it. This grill cloth would have been, I think the samples that I've seen of restoration parts from some of the old radio restoration parts websites, this has probably been more of a silvery color, but I think it's just been probably laying out in a junk pile for so long it's kind of turned like brown, maybe tarnished a little bit of gold, or maybe it was gold originally. It's very hard to tell, and it's probably not showing up on camera. It just looks like a tweed, but it does have a little bit of a metallic flake to it. But I'm imagining that probably somebody had some kids that were poking their grubby little fingers right into this speaker hole, and that's probably what happened to this old speaker. I have plugged it in. It does power up. It makes some interesting noises. Certainly as I turn this knob, you can hear that the plates are kind of grinding in there. They're rubbing a little bit. I don't know what that means. If that's just this dial indicator rubbing against this bezel, or if it's the plates inside this rheostat or potentiometer, whatever it might be here. But it's old. Let me turn this around. Here we are. We got Crosley Radio Corporation, Cincinnati, Ohio. It's a Crosley model 184. Obviously working between 100 and 125 volts, 50 watts, 60 cycle. So yeah, we plug this thing into the wall and it should work. Look at all those patents relating to the product. It's really cool. It's got the original plates on it. So, look at, there's a model approved RIA sticker. Here's the label on the back of looks like we have probably some sort of early dual voice coil. Of course, again, I don't really know, but usually when I see 4 contacts on a speaker, it tells me that there's 2 coils in there. I think I have to dig this thing out and take a deeper look at it. It's an old Jensen. I don't know if what the right path for this particular piece is going to be. If it's, has this thing got any value? Is there a guy that recones old 4-inch speakers? Have no idea. So this is, again, going down the rabbit hole. Again, I don't want to go broke on doing this project. I could just as easily get a more modern 4-inch paper cone speaker to throw in there, but it'd be really kind of cool if there was a original replacement or somebody that could recone that thing. Considering that it was found in a junk pile and given to me for free, whatever we can do to get this thing up and running at a minimal cost would be great. Look at those vacuum tubes in there. I've got some friends that rebuild amplifiers. Some of these guys are very deeply involved with amplifiers that use old vacuum tubes, tube amps, especially guys that are deeply involved in the music industry or with musical equipment, guitar equipment, that kind of thing. So I might have to give these guys a ring and see if some of my buddies can tell me a little bit about what's going on with those vacuum tubes. Certainly the stories I've heard from them over the years just kind of don't match what I would expect. But again, this is a going down the rabbit hole kind of project for me. So I know from the folks that are into this stuff that they go crazy over Philcos. I've heard a lot of good things about Philco 97s. They seem to be like highly desirable. I don't think that there was as much demand for the Crosleys. I'm sure that there's a whole niche industry of or cottage industry of people that are probably into Crosley radios. I don't know. I think the embellishments on this piece are really cool. I like these side pieces here. They look like they were painted silver on a black base with matchbook veneer and this little Crosley logo on here. I've seen Crosley do retro builds with new equipment and see similar kind of things with a little CD player in here or whatever. That stuff doesn't really do much for me, so I think this might be cool to be the real deal. Now I'm assuming we're AM only. I don't know what exactly this knob will do. That's kind of interesting. I don't know what that means. WLW70. I'm sure somebody's going to chime in and have all kinds of information in the comments. But I'm kind of expecting this is like starting at AM 55 and on up. 550. I'm sorry, not 50. 55, but 550 AM, 600 AM, 650, 700, 800, 900, and all the way up to the other end of the scale. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. Now I had a couple of ideas what we can do here. Certainly this is tragic. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's just plywood in behind with the veneer peeled off. Man, I really don't know what to do with that. I don't know that I'm skilled enough to take the original veneer off. If anybody's got ideas on what I can do there, I'd be open to hearing some craftsman techniques on how I can bring this thing back to life. It just wasn't well preserved. It'll never probably be as good as the day it was first made. But I've had some ideas. I like to do distressed look kind of stuff. I could maybe go a little bit of a Mad Max direction with this. I don't think I want to. I think I might go that way if I have to or push comes to shove. I've thought about maybe doing a completely new case and chassis for this thing. It's not much to it. We've got, that's the radio set, and that's a speaker. So we could pretty much put this in any kind of project box. I could try to match a similar style and just start from scratch, and maybe give it a theme that looks very similar to the era specific that it was made. I have no idea what year it was made. Maybe there's some indicator here. I can actually read that better through my phone while I'm videoing this than I can without my glasses on, which is kind of nice. But I think the first step is, let's get the radio set out of this box. Let's see if we can find anything that might lead me to some information with some date stamps. I'm sure I can look up Crosley Model 184 and see what crops up on the interwebs and see where we can go from here. But, we need to find some cloth wrapped wire that doesn't look like, it's going to shed like an old dog. Certainly we need to see what we can do about finding something similar to an era-specific receptacle. I think this one's kind of shot out. Maybe I can find a replacement Bakelite. I know that there's, hobbyist websites where I can buy that thing. Certainly I could always just connect a new whip to this thing and get rid of that Bakelite altogether, but I'd like to try to keep it semi-original if I can. Maybe put this old case in a box and up on the shelf and give it some new life in a new housing. I don't know. I don't want to farmhouse this thing if I don't have to, but I could. So maybe you guys got some ideas or thoughts or techniques. I think this project's got many different interesting levels to it. Everything from, maybe woodcraft to, some hobbyist level work with electronics. It'd certainly be a new experience for me to work with something that's got vacuum tubes in it. I've never actually had an opportunity to play with that kind of stuff. Most of my engineering work was done with all DC circuits, digital logic and ICs and that kind of thing, and some rudimentary code and that kind of stuff, and then more onto the more consumer grade tech that we use in our pockets and cell phones on a day-to-day basis. So this is going to kind of be a cool thing. I've never played with anything like this. So for those of you that are craftsmen that might have some ideas on Project Box, chime in. Let me know what thoughts of creativity and ideas you have. For those of you guys that are into old vacuum tube equipment, I'd like to hear from you too and see what you know, and maybe which directions you can point me there. If you're a guy who's into old radios, and I know there's a whole bunch of these people that are just seriously into it as a hobby. And I've met a few of them that have been just mountains of information of stuff I've never even had the opportunity to see or even known about. Maybe you have some ideas too. It'd be very interesting. So I think we've got kind kind of a multi-pronged thing. Anybody that's into speakers and reconing speakers, that's a whole other topic here as well. So I think we got electronics, we got speakers, we've got vacuum tubes, we've got craftsman level components with woodcraft and matchbooking fine veneers and building cases and finished goods or furniture kind of thing. So let me know if you got any tips or tricks or things that I could take a look at, websites, maybe other people or contacts in different industries that are into this kind of thing. I'm looking for the geeks, the guys that know way more about a particular subject that anybody is really all that interested in hearing about, except for other geeks. So those are my people there that I'd love to sit and pick brains with, and if they're willing to talk about this stuff, I'm willing to listen. So let me know what you got. I think I'm going to do this video in multi-parts, and this is step 1, introduction to this Crosley, and step 2 will be pulling it apart and see what we can find out. Stay tuned.